Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audiblepodcast.com/Sorgatron Media. Over 75,000 titles to choose from for your iPod, iPhone, or MP3 player.
I'm getting awesome, you're getting awesome, we're getting awesome, yeah, that's what I said now. I'm getting awesome, you're getting awesome, we're getting awesome, yeah, that's what I said.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the AwesomeCast. Number 24 are we up to? We're here again, AwesomeCast, where we talk about all the tech and everything awesome that we come up with for the week. With me, as usual, is my co-host, Rob De La Creta. How you doing?
I'm cold.
You're cold. He's freezing. He's from the he's from the Arctic, apparently.
Yes, coming to you live from Fargo, North Dakota. That's what it feels like in my room right now. It's really freaking cold outside, very suddenly, and I am not a fan.
You're rocking the tea or something. You're like you look like you're living in an igloo at this point. I mean, you're like huddled up next to your computer, like I don't know how much warmth your Mac gives off over there, but I think that's all the heat you're getting at this point.
And I'm drinking out of my Cake or Death coffee mug. If you're into that, Cake or Death, yeah. Eddie Izzard, anybody? No, okay. No. You should get into that.
Was there a .com at the bottom of that?
Yeah, that's EddieIzzard.com.
What was that?
EddieIzzard.com.
EddieIzzard.com. Gotcha. Excellent. And also joining us, returning to the show, one Norm Hulsman, of which he has many titles. One is he's going to be the MC of Evening with PodCamp coming up next week here in the area. You can find out more at podcamppittsburgh.com, of which we're all involved in one shape, form, or other. How you doing, Norm?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me back.
I love that you it looks like you set up. Wait, is this the new place? Have you moved since you were on here last? I can't remember the time frame.
Yes. For those of you who remember the Strom Hulsman Studios, I have moved out of that place. The Strom Hulsman Studios is no more. I guess that's breaking news here. And I'm in my new place. I'm in Lawrenceville. I'm actually like a stone's throw away from Rob's recording place. And we are in my new... I like to refer to it as the man room, but this is more moderately known as the study.
That's tremendous. You got a nice picture of Gene Wilder over there.
Yeah, we have Gene Wilder joining me this evening. So for those of you who are Willy Wonka fans, that's who's calmly watching. There was a joke this past weekend about Jeff Goldblum watching you poop, and there was some confusion about maybe that was Gene Wilder, but so that's not him. So don't get confused.
Wow, that's a really old joke. I remember posting that up in bathroom stalls in junior high.
Excellent. Well, let's get right into it. Let's see the big news. Actually, I don't know if it's the big news, but it's the first thing on the list alphabetically. The Boxy Box is it released or right around the corner? I haven't caught the date on this.
It is around the corner. I received an email yesterday, apparently. Although apparently Amazon was emailing people earlier than that. But I've been an alpha tester for Boxy for like 2 or 3 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically said, "Hey, it's available for pre-order on Amazon because it's coming November 2010, and there's an actual date somewhere, November 10th, 2010." And the thing is. The hilarious thing is, okay, first, what's available from the Boxy Box? It has Boxy software, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. It is the best interface for a media center I've used in my life. It has, tech specs. HDMI, optical audio, stereo audio, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, 2 USB ports, an SD card slot, an RF remote, and a QWERTY keyboard. So it kind of sounds a whole lot like Google TV, right? Except it is for the low price of, $200. Oh golly.
Are we kind of turning into the same problem that we had with the Google TV then?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, sure, if you've used Boxy, you know it's a very compelling product, but with the Apple TV and the Roku, I don't see how it's going to compete. And the Boxy Box is something that's been around, it's been a thought anyway, since before Roku, as far as I remember. And so they were like the originators of this, shall we say, new media center revolution But as far as I see, they came to the gate far too late, and they don't have anything to offer to make it like a compelling $200 purchase.
Mm-hmm. I think the most interesting, I have it here. I took an old Dell laptop that I'm actually logged in here. That's sitting under my TV in the living room, and it's got Boxy on it. It's tremendous as far as that goes. The really, really cool part is that I think the social media integration, which I don't think anybody else is doing to any effect. I don't know, maybe Google TV is. But it's got access to do just about everything. I wonder if Hulu's going to be blocked right out of the gate on this.
As far as I knew, on the latest alpha, Hulu is still like a big question mark. Like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And there's always the back end hack of adding Hulu as an RSS feed.
Mm.
It worked fine, but it's still not integrated. And like, if you could access Hulu for free on the Boxy box, I don't think you can do that on the Roku, or can you? Do you know?
I think the Roku is Hulu Plus, because I think Hulu Plus is being pushed as you pay to have the access on other devices, including iPhone, iPad, etc. So,
but if you could access like straight up regular Hulu on the Boxy, then it's possibly worth $200 because you'll get your money's worth in the long run. But it doesn't have anything unique, really.
Yeah,
except for the Voodoo. If you're into that, which is a video rental startup service, something startup something 2004.
But on top of that, I mean, it's from what I've experimented with, it has a lot of I guess you can say apps for different channels. The usual Twit, Revision 3, Blip TV's represented on there. I think
doesn't Roku have that too?
And Roku has a lot of that too. It has a lot of the same stuff as other channels. I think it's a lot looser of what channels are allowed on there. I think it's basically if you can write an app, you can get it on there to an extent. Being it is kind of, I don't know, not entirely open source, but because it is kind of just a software platform, I think they're just looking to get content in general, as opposed to Roku is kind of gone at another angle than this. It may be tighter now that they're going to have a kind of more finalized box product here. But
otherwise they're going to have to roll out software updates constantly.
Exactly. And then how's that going to play out? And is this thing going to be different as they update? And that, we're going to see division from what's on the PC. Who knows?
Yeah.
So. Well, maybe you guys can explain this to me, which is what I don't understand, is why would I want to pay $200 for the box when I could just download the software and run it off of a machine that I have that's sitting in my closet that I haven't used in a couple of years?
Well, this is this is kind of a race to your grandparents' TV is what this all comes down to. They don't want people, they're not looking for the usual Google. I've been unable to speak English all day.
It's the cold, I understand. I understand. It's complete. It's cold.
But it's there's the usual geek explanation when you talk to a lot of people about the whole like Apple TV set-top box thing. They're like, does anybody really want a set-top box? Because the phrase always starts with, all you have to do, quote unquote, is, just get this box and then you download this thing and then you plug in like 5 cables and then, whenever you want to watch TV, you just got to boot into Windows and launch the script and do this. No, nobody cares. Stop. I just want to press a button and watch TV.
Yeah.
So that's where these devices come into. Like I and Norm and Mike can certainly pick up any ratty box we have laying around and install Boxy, and it'll be amazing.
Or hack an old Xbox or
certainly hack an old Xbox.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because that was my next question. Is a friend of mine, and Rob, I was telling you this over the weekend, literally dropped off an original Xbox at my house. Said, "Hey, I found this in an apartment I was cleaning out for my landlord. Here's an Xbox, guys. No cords, no games, no nothing." So I have an Xbox sitting around that I could do something with if, anybody wants to help me mess around with that.
Hello, weekend project.
I've got to find that adapter for you.
I'll buy the plug. I'll buy the cords. I'll buy a remote or whatever. But
right.
Somebody doesn't need to buy a Boxy box now.
Yeah. I mean, but they're definitely. It's what the Google TV is for. It's what the whole experience of like the new software that's going to come out that's going to let you you're watching something on your iPad or your iPhone and you can flick it to your Apple TV and just switch screens. The whole point is to make it really, really simple. Hacks are always going to be out there and you'll always be able to run that software on whatever piece of hardware you want. But I feel like a lot of these software teams have used that as a development tool. Like Boxy's been around for ages and maybe halfway into their dev cycle, wow, I can't even remember how long they've been around. But I know for at least maybe the last 2 or 3 years, their end game plan has been, we want to make a set-top box just to make it easy for everybody, so you don't have to know anything to be able to use our software.
Definitely. They got delayed. We first saw them, I think, at CES, was it? They were supposed to be out by now. Got delayed, and now it's horrible timing. I think they're going to get lost because this is right in the middle of the Google TV. For better or worse, make it whatever its splash is. And I know, I think I saw some setups at, they just remodeled the Best Buy out here in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. And I think they had some setups for Google TV to promote them. Of course, they weren't on or working, which was interesting, which may be a good kind of evaluation of how that's going. But on top of that, the Roku just dropped the price again. Funky Dung in the chat room says he's enjoying his. I'm thinking of getting mine for the secondary TV up in the bedroom. I mean, it's you'll see those things just kind of replacing the cable box for a lot of people that want to extend their TV. For something easy that I don't want to hack one of these old computers sitting around. So,
right. I mean, like you and I were talking the other day about one of the reasons that we got a Mac was because we got tired of things being complicated and things breaking when we just wanted to get work done. And this plays into that. Like, sometimes you just want to watch TV. You don't want to plug anything.
Definitely. Let's see what else we got here. Of course, we got what we said. We got 2 fire stories this week. The first
it's a firestorm on AwesomeCast.
It's a firestorm. It's an awesome firestorm. The first thing now, Rob, this just came across your desk today about Skyfire coming to the iPhone later this week.
I think CNNmoney.com was the first to push it out, but it's basically an app that's going to be approved do like Thursday, I believe. Thursday at 9 o'clock in the morning, will be released for $2.99. Will be on the iPad, iPod Touch, and the iPhone, and it will allow iOS users to convert any Flash videos to HTML5 and thus let you play it on your phone without any problems.
So apparently what they're doing, it sounds a lot like, if you remember when the Opera browser came out, it was a big deal because I think it was the first mobile browser that duplicated the Safari functions. But what it does, from my understanding, is it pushes every website. Opera, it pushes every website, tones down the graphics and everything you have to download. So if you're on a slower connection, it comes up quicker. It kind of passes it through a filter. Apparently, it's the same sort of concept with the Skyfire browser that's going to be on the iPhone, where, like you said, the videos are going to pass through the server, turn into HTML5. So you're not really getting Flash.
No, you're not. A lot of news outlets are saying like, "Oh, Flash has finally come to the iPhone," and it sort of kind of has. Like you said, what's happening is the app recognizes a Flash video, tosses it to Skyfire servers. Skyfire servers shoot you back an HTML5 version of it. So it's really just a converter, and Apple is letting it happen.
And of course, it's still no Flash on the cell phone. If it enhances functionality, why not, right? I've been hearing that it's going to be $2.99.
Will be $2.99, released Thursday morning.
There's already a version available for the Android. I've actually used an earlier version of this when we were talking about window phones a couple of weeks ago, back on the old AT&T 8525, because the Internet Explorer browser was pitiful back then. I think it was like Windows Mobile 5, and it was a little before its time. Obviously there was processing problems with something of that age, but it showed full browsers, Flash videos, Flash stuff, enough that it crashed the phone. But still, we'll see how it works out here. Obviously they're doing a little bit to circumvent that with their little filtering system. But
I do. Like whenever the anti-Flash conversation comes up, and believe me, I am all about getting rid of Flash. Flash is one of those things that ended up in a really perverse use, and everybody decided they wanted. We've all run into oh, I want to check out the menu for this restaurant. Oh wait, your entire website is in Flash, and I hate you now. But the one thing that like really ruins the experience if you use something like a Flash blocker is that a lot of video is still in Flash. And even if you're using YouTube's HTML5 beta plugin, that alone will only work on some videos, and if it's embedded, it doesn't work at all.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this is, like, I'd be really interested in having something like this built into Chrome where no matter where the video came from, it would convert Flash to HTML5. That would be fantastic, and I'd turn off Flash entirely.
Definitely, and especially with all the security holes coming out of Adobe lately, it'd be probably a good thing.
Yep.
So, all right, moving on. Before we get to our other Fire story, let's get the Apple stories out of the way here. The big news, the iPad is now on sale from Verizon Wireless and AT&T. Of course, Verizon being the most important of the two of them. This is big to me because we're actually looking at an iPad. We're considering one with internet. And, well, of course, usually you can get $120, $130 more. You can get a model with the 3G built in, and, you go with AT&T's rates for that. But this one's different. It's $629, which I think is the same price as the 3G model of, say, a 16 gigabyte. And they actually include a MiFi modem.
Yeah. So it's actually something that people have been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
Except now you can buy it right from Verizon as a package.
Exactly. It's you can get a data plan starting at $20 for 1 gigabyte a month.
Yep.
And if compare that to AT&T, that's $15 for 200 megabytes a month, I think.
Something like that.
I'm thinking
I was actually
Verizon
talking
wins.
to somebody. I don't know what the limit on AT&T is. I don't have a clue.
Well, I know $25 is 2 gigabytes a month, and I think it's $200 for the $15 plan. So,
well, what's an average use going to be? I mean, are you going to come in at two gigs a month or 1 gig? Because all I use my iPad for when I have it on the Wi-Fi is before I'm going to bed, I'm streaming a bunch of videos, or I'm looking at the internet. I'm really using a lot of data on it, and I'm not using it all day, every day by any means, but when I'm picking it up, typically I want to be connected to a Wi-Fi network.
Yeah, and I think this is just something that supplements it. So if you find yourself in situations where there's not Wi-Fi available, if it's like at lunch at work that doesn't provide something like that, or if you want to go to meetings and make sure you have an internet connection.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I didn't consider that.
It's like I know, Norm, we've been to some meetings, and you pulled that out to show an example of how a website looks, a YouTube video to compare it to something we're talking about. And you're like, well, if there's internet here, I could show you. What if you're at a some function? You're like, well, I want to make sure I have internet, so I have this functionality. And I like the idea, for the same price, getting the modem instead, because then this turns into, you go on a vacation, everybody can get on their laptop and not, on one device.
Yeah, the bonuses. I mean, if you get the 3G plan from AT&T. You are locked into only having the iPad on, but you get a MiFi. MiFis are pretty sweet. I mean, they're not 4G yet. Mm-hmm. You're still dealing with 3G speeds, but the advantage is that you get the Verizon network that a lot of people prefer. Mm-hmm. I personally don't have a problem with AT&T, but it also means that, like, if you go anywhere, even if you want to, like, whip out your iPhone, use it on that, use it on your laptop. Tell everybody in your house that they have the internet now, and you have that option.
And I do like the idea of having a backup too. Because there are, again, around here, there are spots that AT&T doesn't work, Verizon doesn't work. Either way, it's really, I don't have as much experience with Verizon, but I've seen T-Mobile and AT&T's. And it'd be nice to have that kind of backup. So it's like, well, my iPhone's not working here. Well, let's just turn on the MiFi. Let's go. And if you're going to get an iPad anyways, I think it's really the kind of the no-brainer option. If you don't mind the separate bill, for one thing. But and then on top of that, I come up with the other question. I'm paying for internet a lot of times here, guys. You're paying for your home, you're paying for your phone, you're paying for if you have an iPad. You know, and for just several streams of internet. When does this redundancy kind of? You think sometime in the future we'll get these kind of bundled, I can have internet everywhere plans, or is that too far off to think about?
I'd say it's definitely in the not so distant future, the idea that instead of I get 3G on my iPhone through AT&T, I get my cable through Comcast, that wireless, especially once LTE comes out, because at this point the speeds at which broadband wireless is expanding is not getting sucked on too hard by expansions in content. Like when when cable first came out and then 3G came out, we were starting to deal with HD video, which is one of the biggest bandwidth suckers you'll get. But on LTE, that shouldn't be a problem. And we've reached levels of HD video that are fairly high until you get into things like 4K. That it's not too crazy to think that we would have one box for all of our devices. Or it makes perfect sense for it to be built into your phone, like what mostly Verizon is doing with the mobile hotspot technology that is built into things like the Palm Pre Plus and several Android phones. The idea that your internet is with your person always, whether you're at home or at work or whatever, and it's always yours. I think our biggest hurdle isn't the technology anymore. It's definitely agreements between carriers.
Is there bottlenecks though? Because the wireless have said there's a bottleneck. Obviously, in certain cities, it's a problem. So there's that other factor too. Hey, Norm, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, I really like the idea of what Verizon was trying to do. And the only person I ever saw who had these was iJustine. It's that card that's about the size of an iPhone, but a little bit thinner, and you carry around your own Wi-Fi bubble. And I like the idea that, maybe instead of how we think about our devices, you have your plan, you have your carrier that you can get that data connection that you can put multiple devices on. And as the networks get better, more advanced, you'll be able to put your laptop, your iPad, your phone all on this, on something you carry around in your wallet that just is constantly connected to your, to your data cloud. I mean, the cancer possibilities there are endless probably, but, I really like the concept of that where we each can be our own mobile hotspots, or potentially maybe city, since we're in such an urban environment, maybe city Wi-Fi becomes much more accessible, and free internet as a concept maybe becomes a reality. Although I know that I don't want to jump into that direction because that's a whole host of other issues. But I think that could be a possibility. And then that way you only have your one data plan. If you have your own your card, and I forget what Verizon calls it. But if you have that and you carry it around, then you are your own bubble, and then that maybe alleviates some of that other problems, and you can just have one bill for all your devices.
I think you're talking about the MiFi, right?
Is that the same thing? I'm not sure.
I think it is. I think for Verizon, all those sorts of devices are called MiFi. Even like the ones like I know my boss has it built into his Droid. Like you were talking about the Palm Pre. I think it's called something different on Sprint.
Yeah, I forget that.
Like I know what Clearwire or something's involved with them. So I think it's more or less a branding issue. Like I think is it MiFi as in MY-Fi for Verizon? So I never really saw it. I hear a lot of people talk about it. So anyways.
I think it's also not too crazy to think that in the next, say, be a little far off, we'll say 15 years is what I'm going to put a stamp on it, that you would be able to, in a city that supports high-speed WiMAX, that like when you pay your city taxes, you would pay like an internet charge, and you have broadband wireless access.
That'd be curious. That could be interesting. That could be something you could relate that maybe to in Europe. Or in England, more specifically, they have a TV tax to have your TV, and I think that pays for. I think that more or less pays for your right to have those stations, like BBC and everything. I think it's publicly funded for the most part. Yeah, I could be wrong. If there's any British listeners, I don't know. That could be a really interesting concept for our country, a city to roll out. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So. All right, let's get to our ad real quick, and we'll get right back with the news. I want to thank Backblaze for supporting us. If you want to support the show, please go to sorgatronmedia.com or awesomecast.com. Click on the banner there for Backblaze.com. It's $5 a month. You can back up unlimited. How many drives are hooked up to your computer? It's $5 per computer. I'm paying for my laptop for everything sitting on there and the drive attached to it that I carry around, because you want to get that backed up, especially you're going around to all these coffee shops and everything. You're always, I'm a forgetful person, and it's something I worry about legitimately, leaving something behind like that, and or it gets stolen. You never know. Especially if you travel. I have several gigabytes, maybe a couple terabytes of drives hooked up to the computer upstairs with old episodes of this show and other ones that we produce in client work. And I know it's all backed up. Check out backblaze.com. Click the links. Support the show. Support us here. SoGortronMedia.com. Let's see. Let's get one more Apple story. We didn't mention this before the show. But
welcome to Mac Week Awesome Cast.
Yeah, I know. We're sandwiching in the middle, and we'll get to the other stuff. But have you heard about this? The Hyper Mac case that's been going on.
Hyper Mac.
Yes, apparently Hyper Mac was a company that sold an external battery, because we know these wonderful unibody MacBooks that have no battery replacement or such a great design for everybody. So the extended power, they sold these bricks called HyperMac that you could hook up to your laptop, to your iPad, that provided a little bit more battery. They had a problem with Apple. Apple legal decided. I think the name, because it is since Mac is in their name. They had a problem with it. They had only until a certain date to sell all the. It was a legal issue over their MagSafe connector. They weren't allowed to use. Apparently, they renamed it HyperJuice as part of its ongoing comprehensive licensing negotiations with Apple, and said to cover a wide array of technologies and issues, and also reminded you to have a few hours left to snag a HyperMac with the important MagSafe cable, as sales will be suspended as of midnight the day of this writing, which was yesterday. So you're out of luck if you're hearing this. So
hearing this news, you're probably disappointed, and you're welcome.
Yes. I hadn't been covering it because this was a story last week. I guess we should have given people a heads up. But we had plenty to talk about last week too, though. Interesting thing there. So once again, we're back to, I don't think there's no other third party supported devices out there that I'm aware of. Is there? For Macintosh power, I guess.
Third-party Mac. Well, there's plenty of things for the iPhone that are third-party power devices.
That's true.
There's the Moxie or whatever it's called. I forget what it is.
Mophie.
The Mophie with the case with the built-in battery, and that's certainly still fine. They actually kind of brag about that as a pretty awesome product. I'm not so sure why they. I mean, I guess it's the MagSafe thing, but that's really silly, I feel. But I mean, there's certainly no third-party power plugs for Macs. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have them because, as we all know, the little wires tend to pull out of Mac power plugs for every device they sell.
Now, I'm new to the MagSafe adapter, so I don't. How do I protect mine?
How do you protect yours?
Yes.
I couldn't tell you. Honestly, couldn't tell you. I wish I knew how.
That was weird.
The nice thing is you could definitely walk into an Apple store and you basically walk in as one of the 20 people that day who showed them the same thing. You just have a cable in your hand. You're like, it did this. And they're like, oh, okay, let me get you one.
They're good for that. All right, let's get to our other Firestorm story of the day. Firesheep. Have you guys heard of this? It's it's a plugin that was released last week that you can put into Firefox, of course, to keep that trifecta of fire going. Basically, you have this on your Firefox, from my understanding. I have not experimented with it. I'm gonna try, I think, later this week. I expect to do some work in a coffee shop and be very scared somebody else has this. Basically, you sit there on an open Wi-Fi network, as most public Wi-Fis are, and you log into Facebook, and it leaves that cookie, so you don't have to re-log and re-authenticate and everything. Unfortunately, when it's passing that cookie back and forth, and this is how I understand the concept from the several explanations over the past week. So it's passing that cookie back and forth as you go from page to page, looking at your friends, looking at your pictures, whatever. Apparently this plugin will go out on the Wi-Fi, find any open cookies sitting on anybody's computer in this open network, and gives you the option to hijack. So you can sit there, see, hey, Norm's logged into his Facebook, checking out pictures of cats or whatever. Would you like to log in as him? And you step right in between him and his computer and get on his Facebook.
That's absurd. I never look at cats on Facebook.
You never know. We can find out. We can find out here soon.
The real, like, this is it's not just Facebook, but a whole lot of stuff. One of the few exclusions is Gmail, I believe.
Yeah.
But basically, most websites that you encounter, the popular thing to do is to use SSL to securely log in and pass your login credentials. But after that, as is the case with Facebook, it's not a secure connection anymore. This is something that was pointed out a while ago, is my understanding, and nobody seemed to really care about it. So in order to draw attention to it, he just released this lovely little Firefox extension.
Yeah, it really feels like, and I don't know the whole story on this, but it really feels like one of those where because a lot of these security hacker guys find these vulnerabilities and say, hey, over here, this is something you should probably take care of. And there's been several cases lately where that doesn't happen until they do something like this.
Yeah,
make it
I know
accessible.
Specifically that happens with Apple all the time.
Oh yeah.
Because of how they really hate looking like Windows, really, because it's Patch Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And there's literally hundreds of security flaws and fixes that roll out for Windows every month, but Apple looks cleaner because you get a security fix once a month or so. And so they usually just kind of make collections of these security flaws, and some of them are pretty beefy and pretty scary. And this is certainly one of them. I really hope somebody fixes something to do with this soon, because I, like you, will be terrified to use my anything in public anywhere.
There's looks like legal experts are split over the legality of using this, believing using it to hijack accounts violates U.S. federal wiretapping laws, while others see it differently. They say it's unsettling. Unsettled before the court, so we'll see what's going on. I don't know if he's going to get sued for this, or he just kind of released it openly. So,
is it fraud? Is it a legal thing? I mean, if you sit down and try to hack into somebody's Facebook account by trying a password a bunch of times, hypothetically, are you breaking the law there? If you log into someone else's Facebook profile or Gmail account, is that legally illegal?
The only way I can see that, because I know it's supposed to be illegal for you to attempt to circumvent. I'm thinking DMCA. It's illegal for you to attempt to circumvent copy protection. I don't know. Is it straight illegal just to try to circumvent security measures?
You're going through the front door. You just happen to have the credentials. You're capturing credentials and walking right in through the front door. I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah.
But in terms of, from what I understand, is it against the law?
Yeah.
What this stands as is running the extension itself. The act of running the extension is not illegal, but the act of using the information provided in the extension to access someone's account is illegal.
Yeah.
Because at that point you have intercepted sensitive information and chosen to use it maliciously.
Mm. I got an email from Zero Cool the other day, and he was telling me about this. And he said he wasn't really allowed to email me, but so I probably shouldn't mention that. But yeah, he knows about it.
Awesome. There's supposed to be fixes for this. Of course, the biggest fix is to use SSL, which Rob, you noticed a comment earlier in one of these articles.
I really hope this gets under somebody's skin and they get really offended, because if they do, it means they're dumb, and I think that's funny. The last comment on the page, if you're interested about this, you can go to codebutler.com/firesheep, and the top comment says, let me put on my voice here. SSL is bad for the environment because it requires far more server-side hardware. That's all I have to say about that. Really? Seriously? Server-side? Really?
The word is Facebook may take up to 6 months to be able to implement a measure.
Facebook is killing trees.
There you go.
Don't do it.
You go. I'm hoping that was a software environment thing. And I didn't actually see pictures of the plugin here. I actually tried to install this at work, although I realized I was on a hardwired computer and it wouldn't have done anything.
It looks fully straightforward.
Yeah, it looks like it. It just pops up something in your left pane, shows you who's logged in on the network and to what service.
And you just hop right over, and you're basically looking at what they can see in their browser window.
Yeah.
So,
does it automatically bring that up? Because
it doesn't bring up like what they're looking up at that time. But the example on the website is like a thing popped up on the left that Ian Gallagher is using Facebook, and you click on Ian Gallagher, and it pulls up his logged in Facebook page.
Wow.
It just says Ian Gallagher, edit my profile.
That's incredible.
It is amazing.
That's far too easy. And
this is something my parents can do. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks. With Fire Sheep, you've done with hacking what Apple's done with TV.
Yes.
There
Excellent.
you go. Fantastic. Wow. This is the Roku box of hacking plugins.
Like Back Orifice all over again.
Oh, I remember Back Orifice.
Yeah, and
you know what?
Sub 7, yes.
Sub 7 I'm not aware of. For those, we gotta explain this for people who don't know what the hell we're talking about. I know my experiences, back in the day, I think this was the Script Kiddie phenomenon, if I'm not mistaken, Rob.
These are the early days of Script Kiddies, nuking,
WinNuke. Basically, back in the late 90s when we were kids, it was cool to find these hacking programs on the internet and figure out our friends' IP addresses on our blazingly fast 56K modems, I tell you. And we made your CD-ROM drive open by itself, sir. And somebody comes to school all freaked out the next day because IM wasn't really as prevalent yet. And or it was, and it was really crappy, as in we could get their IP address so easily. So,
or you could just, it was one of the, like nowadays, even people who don't know a whole lot about computers, if you're like, what's your IP address? They're like, oh, I'm never going to tell you that. But back then, you're like, okay, open this box and click that and read me those numbers. Okay, good.
It's like the old war games. Please read me the phone number on your modem over there.
Yes.
It was that easy, you know. I don't know. What was your experience with that stuff?
Or
are we not allowed to air that on the internet?
I think there's a statute of limitations involved. I played with Sub 7 a lot. Sub 7 was one of the most popular Trojans ever, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
It did all the usual stuff. You could. I remember when the Matrix came out, they released a version of Sub 7 where you could turn the victim's computer screen into the Matrix flow of characters.
Oh man, I wish we would have found that.
You could flip the screen upside down. You could insert text. You could see what they were looking at. You could open browser windows with a chosen address, which was my favorite. And Goatsy, anyone? No?
Oh.
And I remember there was one time that it was actually a girl that I think I was dating at the time, and I changed all the keys on her keyboard to be like not what they were supposed to be, and her dad called me angrily the next day.
Wow, that is so romantic.
He thought that I had like physically broken their computer because he didn't understand how the whole thing worked. I'm like, no, give me 5 minutes and your IP address and I'll fix it.
Amazing. Those were the days. I forgot all about that kind of stuff. Man, my wild internet youth. Fantastic. All right, what else we got here? In an interesting, I find this funny. G4 is getting knocked off DirecTV. And with a whimper. Apparently the hosts on there, thinking they still have a little bit of stroke in the geek world, have been all over Twitter trying to get them to save G4 from DirecTV, cutting them.
Who's still on there anyway? That like actually.
Well, XPlay's still big on there. You know, the Morgan Webb and Adam Sessler still have jobs somehow on there.
Is Kevin Pereira still on?
Kevin Pereira, I think, is still on there. Olivia Munn, I don't know if she's still on there anymore. I don't watch the thing. I know Norm is a particular fan of Ninja Warrior.
Absolutely.
And I mean, Ninja Warrior and Cops, it becomes a time suck for me. But unfortunately, that's not why I enjoyed the programming. So, I don't know about you guys, but really, everything that G4 Tech TV used to be is I turn on my Twit app And
absolutely.
Because I loved G4, I loved Tech TV because it was like I get to turn it on and some geek stuff's on that I love to watch. That I know is tailored toward me.
And the fantastic thing is all the headhunting that Leo is doing. That this point, if you watch the Twit network, you're going to see like half of the old Tech TV crew anyway.
Which I think is a big thing, is why it's attributed to their success. Because everybody's like, I think a lot of people, like us, are disjointed by the, Tech TV just kind of got swept under the rug and absorbed by this conglomerate in Comcast. Assimilated by G4, kind of crapped on everything that was good about it. But I think they've also proven that was something that didn't work on TV, and works so much better in the medium we're in now with stuff like this.
Yeah, there was what was it called? The Lab with Leo in Australia. That went on for like 2 years, and then they shut that down.
Call for Help was going on, and there's still apparently a G4 Tech TV Canada. I think it's still up there, where they actually still did Call for Help. I think Amber MacArthur and him were on there for a while. So I mean, of course, Canada, our sensible neighbors to the north, would allow that.
Random fact that I learned today. Did you know that you know who Lisa Bettany is, right?
Yeah.
Did you know she was a figure skater?
She mentioned that on Twit this week, didn't she?
She did. Yeah. And it just blew me away. I was like, oh, that's why she's a model. Now I get it.
For those that don't know, mostly Lisa.com's her site. She was involved with the development of the Camera Plus app, the fantastic app for the iPhone that got pulled because of the scandal of using the volume buttons as, what was it, exposure?
No, it was to take the picture. You would press the volume button, which was a brilliant idea.
Mm-hmm. But apparently Apple didn't like it, and they're still working on that. But she was on Twit this week.
She revealed. Well, apparently it was a well-known fact between Leo and her, but I had no idea. She was striving to be an Olympic figure skater, and then she threw her back out or something, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, I've dropped by her site a few times after getting the Camera Plus app. There's some fantastic tutorials on there, and I think she does a lot of other tutorials for photography in general for people interested in that. So,
well, she is a photographer, so it's a given.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I'm just letting the people know, Rob. All right. The other big news this week I have here, maybe you guys have more, is the Xbox 360 dashboard update. I got it yesterday. I was actually considering having my brother on since he's been actually working with the beta for a number of weeks. But I got to see the new Netflix, and I got to say, other than the search function, I'm not too impressed with it. It feels very it feels very flat to me.
I do not have the pleasure of having these modern gaming devices, so I can't say a whole lot. But I can say that a lot of people.
Do you have any pics to some screenshots? Any link?
Don't have any handy, but really the whole thing they've gone from flat with the blades to, remember there was the kind of lining up stuff off into the distance. Now their menu is just kind of a cross section. It's all everything's side by side, flat. There's already, of course, the usual kind of complaints, the usual bugs on the rollout. Apparently, indie games have been moved to a specialty shops section on the store, and the indie developers are not too pleased with that. It does. I mean, I haven't seen much else. I haven't experimented with ESPN yet. I really just had a couple minutes last night when I remembered it came out yesterday. I definitely didn't want to do it in the morning when everybody was downloading it. First thing.
The way you describe it kind of sounds like how PlayStation has their thing set up.
That's
it's kind very, of horizontal than vertical.
Yeah. I mean, and the avatars don't look as cartoony. They're a little more. The avatars have grown up a little bit, it looks like, which kind of, I think, plays into what they're trying to do over on Sony's platform. So I don't know if that's a competition with that or not. So, it got me thinking about how if you buy an Xbox today, you're not going to have the same experience. The Xbox that you first got with that Blade system and everything is gone. You're not going to get it. You're not going to find an Xbox with it unless you buy an old used one, and it's not usable if you don't update. If you don't accept the user agreement to this update, they log you out, and you can't get on Xbox Live or use any of the functions anymore.
That's dumb.
So it's you're locked into whatever terms as they change it, which really kind of if you think about it, is a little bit unsettling.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shame because I know a lot of people who do use their Xbox 360 as a media center talk a lot about how great it is as a media center. I mean, Microsoft actually has a little bit of play in this whole set-top box business, and they already have a market that has their hardware. They just have to fix their software a little bit.
Yeah.
And they definitely dissuade somebody from buying something like an Apple TV or Google TV and keep them in the market. But it sounds like they made some bad changes that might send people off the shelves.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. Of course, I use my Xbox 360 as a media center with the Netflix, of course. We'll see what the ESPN does. I was using PlayOn a little bit to try to watch stuff. I use a Connect 360 on my Mac to be able to connect that. Of course, if you have a Windows computer, you'll be able to connect to videos on your PC a lot easier than I'm able to.
If I could just give Microsoft a suggestion right now, if they were to just put iTunes on the Xbox 360 and drop their media player, I guarantee you, I mean, people would go for it. I mean, that would probably crush Apple TV. I mean, what would you need Apple TV for? I mean, you've got Netflix, you got your games, and then you can stream all of your iTunes content. I mean, obviously, there'd be a huge
There'd be a small problem there, but
yeah.
But why not? I mean, why wouldn't Apple go for it? I mean, you put iTunes Store in there, you could buy TV, you could do all that stuff in there. There's probably some legal behind the scenes conflicts, but it makes the Xbox 1,000 times more attractive than the PS3 to me, because I've got, I'm bought into the Apple system, the iTunes system, so.
Yeah. But you also think they're trying to cross you over with the Zune store with the Windows Phone now, so they got plenty of direct competitors that are trying to get you.
We all know that Microsoft is more than willing to stab themselves in the back when it comes to Zune Store or Windows Live Store or whatever they call it in the past.
Well, they were doing separately. They're going separately for years. They're just now they're bringing all this together. That the Zune is the cross-platform kind of service and everything. They really, I think Microsoft's trying to create the same kind of ecosystem that you're locked into with the Apple. I have an Xbox. Well, that's compatible with the phone. I gotta make sure I get that. Well, I have a Windows computer, which most have anyways. So they're trying to kind of create that synergy and be like, well, Microsoft, I'm good. I know everything's going to talk to everything else. Of course, we know how well that works in practice. But sometimes it's not that great on the Apple side either. So,
yeah.
But I mean, and of course, it's not going to be as easy. It's not like we don't have apps for the Xbox 360.
No.
I mean, that I think that's the next thing. I mean, we're getting Twitter integration, Facebook, but that's them adding it to the dashboard. What if we got to a point where the Xbox 360, Sony, PlayStation had actually, like, you could develop apps for it? You can develop games already. So why not open up, like, we can add TweetDeck can put their stuff on the Xbox and interact, what's to stop them from doing that?
Nothing, really. I mean, I don't know how painful it is to develop actual software for the 360, but it certainly seems like something that they should be at least considering.
They already have XBMC. I might be confusing the things. Well, they have a platform that if you're developing games for PCs already, you can bring it over. So I'm wondering, maybe something crosses over there, that some PC development can come over to the Xbox. They already have a foot in the door as opposed to Sony or Nintendo even.
Right.
So.
Yeah, even if they follow the Apple App Store model where they just say, hey, we've got an App Store, let's develop for it. I mean, just let people get creative and see what happens. And, if it flops, then you just, you close it down, but at least you open it up and see where it could go. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Of course, this opens up the ESPN Entertainment Hub. Again, something I've looked into, but that's kind of the first big name thing to come to one of these consoles like this. A big network, I think it's going to be ESPN3 content. So I guess Quidditch or whatever. I don't know. Pick a spade.
Quidditch. That's Harry
That's
Potter.
Harry Potter, isn't it? Yeah. Soccer. I don't know. Skateboarding, X Games, maybe. Oh, that's two. So I don't know what the hell is on ESPN3. But I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see what
Snooker.
I can't imagine it being a replacement. So, well, okay. All right, Norm, we got you on here. We got a big event coming up next week. Can you tell us what exactly Evening with PodCamp is?
Yeah, I'd love to. So we've we hatched this plan shortly after PodCamp Pittsburgh 5, which was very successful. Thank you, everyone who showed up to that, by the way. And we were talking because there was a huge cry, larger than ever before, for events to happen throughout the year that are PodCamp related. And so we hadn't really, the organizing group really hadn't invested in trying to develop an official event. Most of them had been random tweet ups. And I kind of felt a lot of the other groups who've been doing things kind of fulfilled that need in the community. Well, this year we came up with a really good idea, which is called an Evening with PodCamp. And I'm kind of privileged enough to be spearheading that. And, it's going to be an event where I'm going to MC and interview different people throughout the year. And we're going to have 6 of these this year, every other month. And the first one is next week, Thursday, at Space Gallery downtown. And we only have 40 seats, and last I checked, there's actually only 1 seat left. So if you really want to go, and you should race over to podcamppittsburgh.com and try to get that last seat. But I'm going to have guests Mikey and Big Bob from the Kiss Morning Show. Freak Show is their gig, and it's going to be more of a casual sort of a sit down. I mean, maybe casual isn't the right word. It's going to be more of a sit down, and let's just talk about the behind the scenes of what they do. I want to ask them, what questions like what inspires them. I'm going to look at some of their content that they produce and really get under their skin a little bit. I'm kind of looking forward to asking Mike about how when he tweets something about just something kind of raunchy, and I know he's got a daughter, and one day when she gets on Twitter and she's going to ask him, hey, what does this mean? And I want to see how he kind of answers that question. But more importantly, just these are 2 guys who are really cranking out a lot of content every day, and that's inspiring to me, who creates content in a different sort of a way, and to just see them produce is really kind of cool. So they're constantly coming up with stuff, and I kind of want to walk through that process with them. So an Evening with PodCamp is going to be an enchanted, enter some air quotes here, magical time where you can have a really unique PodCamp experience throughout the year, reconnect with other pod campers, as it were, and really just have a great evening. We're going to do this session and then have some socializing, go out for maybe a drink afterwards. So that's my elevator definition of an Evening with PodCamp. So
excellent. And of course, this is going to be all videotaped and posted over there at podcamppittsburgh.com. We've had a wonderful series of sessions from this year's PodCamp. They're getting pumped out by some mysterious person. So go over there. A lot of stuff, including some of our sessions. I know my podcasting 101 and 201 are up there. I don't know if any of you guys have popped up there yet, that I recall, but they'll be coming if they're not. So go check that out, podcamppittsburgh.com. All right. Well, on that note, hey, thanks, Norm, for stepping in. You were kind of like a last minute add-in today. Yeah,
my pleasure. Anytime, let me know.
So now that we know you've got the wonderful backdrop studio set up, I think Gene Wilder has brought you much inspiration tonight. So
I'm so happy. I've been thinking about the chocolate river all evening.
Excellent. Whatever. And other than PodCamp Pittsburgh, where can people check out what you're doing?
You can follow me. I'm Mr. Derby on Twitter. My website is normanhulsman.com. And I do a lot of random stuff for the Art Institute of Pittsburgh that you probably don't care about unless you work there or you're a student. But you can find links to me if you just go to normanhulsman.com.
I saw today that you lost your battle for the Kaufman's clock with Chachi.
I was most recently the mayor of Kaufman's Clock, and I have been there's been on election day. It was very fitting. Chachi took back the mayorship, and I'm going to let him have it for a while. I was mayor for a couple of weeks there, and I know he doesn't get to check in as often as I do, so I think I'm just going to let it be there, and then I'm going to sneak up and take it from him unexpectedly.
Excellent.
So.
Oh, side note, speaking of Foursquare, if you check in today and say I voted, you get a special badge.
Yeah.
So
I did see that.
I got mine. I missed the Happy Halloween one, unfortunately. So, all right, Rob, what are you up to?
Being busy and working hard.
Doing things.
Doing stuff.
How's you mentioned yesterday on Twitter the you're working on the best app of the year deal.
Yeah.
About that?
I'll tell you what, if anybody has an application that has blown their mind, feel free to @ me on Twitter at ROBJDLC, because I am making submissions as a writer for Macworld for the best app of the year nominations. And I don't have a clue.
Really? You're not thinking Instagram or anything?
No. I mean, like, Instagram is very cool and very perfect ingredients type thing, but I wouldn't say it like blew me away. It was more you did it right.
Yeah. We talked about it. For those who don't know, Instagram on the iPhone is something where you take pictures, you throw a filter on it, you post it on their little kind of built-in social network to your Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare, or whatever. And somehow this thing is blown up, even though it's something we've all had multiple apps on our phones doing this.
Well, that's the thing. We've had like 5 or 6 different apps that accomplished it, but this accomplishes most of it in one application in like 4 clicks, and it's done. And it's got the social media thing in it, which I'm starting to think the social media thing is one of the more compelling features, as I like want to waste time at work and I'll open up Instagram and flip through the feed of my friends to see what is going on.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I Instagrammed myself while recording this episode, if you want to check the chat room.
So that is so meta. Fine.
Not knowing we were going to talk about this later.
Yeah, it's something I've been meaning to bring up. And I know with Net at Night, they had a great interview with the guys that came up with Instagram last week. It is coming to the Android. That's a pretty cool picture, Norm. I think that's going to be our show pick for this week.
Sweet.
But yeah, it's one of those, like I said, really kind of secret sauce apps. It's free, and I know it's coming to other platforms like the Android that they're working on at least. And it's like 2 guys just hunkered down and did this.
Yeah.
So,
but otherwise, I've been I was incidentally decompiling Java today, because that's in my job description. But otherwise, what was that?
That's interesting.
It is interesting. It's very interesting. I'm working on some very fancy rapid prototyping machines that are very broken. I am admiring the collection of coffee cups on my desk. We're doing the podcast, the evening with PodCamp Pittsburgh, podcamppittsburgh.com for that, and I've got a bunch of stuff going on I can't talk about really. That's why I'm stuck on this. I've got a lot of top secret things going on. So let's just say I was hired by the CIA. And you can read about it on my Twitter stream.
Fantastic. Wait. Okay. And folks, check my stuff out. I might be blogging sometime soon on Sorgatron.com. Of course, check out all the shows at SorgatronMedia.com, including a contest. We're gonna have our first, hopefully successful Sorgatron Media contest here, that I came up with today. So stay tuned to Music Fun Time Show, and check the site. There'll be some information about that. In the meantime, it may behoove you to follow the Sorgatron Media Twitter account, while you're at it, join the AwesomeCast one too, and you can find out more about everything going on with us. So, other than that, hey, thanks, Norm and Rob, and of course, you guys were a great chat room tonight. A lot of activity in there. Stay tuned if you're live. We're going to have the Wrestling Mayhem show up next, and otherwise, check us out here live, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Tuesdays. SorgatronMedia.com, live.sorgatronmedia.com for the Ustream feed and everything. And we'll see you guys next week. Stay awesome.